What's going on, everybody? You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. I appreciate all of you guys tuning in to our 1.0 edition of our first Minnesota Vikings mock draft. With the draft still a couple months away, want to get you guys our first one here on the channel. And also, programming alert, we are probably live here on the channel for the Packers-Bears game. So if you guys want to hang out with us, watch the game together, make sure you guys just check out the channel and join us in the live chat. But let's look at here the Minnesota Vikings 2026 draft picks. Now, I'm only accounting for one comp pick here for the Minnesota Vikings in round 3 for Sam Darnold. Now, they very well could get one for Daniel Jones as well, but I just want to focus in here on these 10 picks and a little Rick Spielman special by Kwesi in this draft, having 3 picks in the 6th round and 2 picks in the 7th round. So we will dive into all these selections here coming up, but if you guys want the best Vikings draft coverage out there, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button because there is no doubt this is a massive draft for our Minnesota Vikings. They got to hit on a lot of these picks. Got to try to get some superstars. Got to at least try to get a couple of starters in this draft. So if you guys want the best draft coverage out there, we'll have all the rumors, all the mock drafts heading your way. Just hit that subscribe button today. All right, so in round 1, pick number 18, I will have the Vikings selecting a tight end here, and this is one of my favorite prospects in this year's draft, and that being Oregon tight end Kenyon Sadiq. This guy is a freak of nature. I mean, you guys can see in this picture up on screen right now, him flat out hurdling a dude, and he is just completely ripped up. He is strong as an ox. He's a great run blocker. He's about 6'3", 245 pounds. So a little smaller in terms of height at the tight end position, but he plays a lot bigger than that. And this year at Oregon, he had a really good season, 51 catches, 560 yards, 8 touchdowns, averaging around 11 yards per catch. And you may be saying to yourself, well, Patrick, why are we going to the tight end position? We have TJ Hockenson, we have Josh Oliver, and if you guys haven't been following closely with what the Vikings are going to do this offseason, I think there's a pretty good chance that the Vikings will end up cutting TJ Hockenson, and they just need to get younger and more athletic at that position. And Kenyon Sadiq is just that. Like, if you are going to roll out with J.J. McCarthy, get him that safety net, get him that safety blanket, which Kenyon Sadiq is, because he is great after the catch. You can just throw him a 3-yard out. He can turn that upfield, make guys miss, turn that into a big-time completion. He's incredibly intelligent tight end, too. He knows the soft spots of the zone, so I would be a massive fan of him. At number 18, again, taking a tight end in the first round, a little risky, but I think Kenyon Sadiq can live up to that bill. Now we're actually going to take his teammate in round 2, a guy I am a massive fan of. Now, this is my draft crush right now. Now, obviously, I want the Vikings. If there's somehow a chance you can draft Caleb Downs at the safety position, I think you have to do that. But let's have them drafting a safety here in the 2nd round, Dylan Thieneman, round 2, pick number 49. And, Harrison Smith will 99.9% chance no longer be a part of the Minnesota Vikings. He's probably going to retire this offseason, so it leaves the Vikings in a tricky spot at the safety position. Well, how about you go out there and replace him in the 2nd round with a guy who does remind me a lot of Harrison Smith. Now, he isn't as tall as Harry. Harry's 6'2", Thieneman only 6 foot, but this guy hits like Harrison Smith. He's great in coverage. He can hop down in the box. He does have some versatility that if Flores does remain as the DC, I think he could be a seamless fit in this defense. I mean, you see his PFF grade, 89.9. Out of all safeties in college football, over 800 of them, he was 8th in the entire country. Also, his coverage grade, fantastic as well. I mean, 90.5. That's 6th overall in the entire country. So Thieneman, Kenyon Sadiq, if you can get those 2 ducks on this team, you shore up the tight end position, and you actually possibly get a blue chipper at the safety position as well. But I think in round 2, Thieneman is my dream draft target for the Minnesota Vikings. This guy's going to be skyrocketing up board, so who knows if he'll even be available at pick number 49, but he's up there in terms of some of my dream draft targets for this team. So you guys, let me know your thoughts. Who's your dream draft target for your Minnesota Vikings? Now we'll get to the rest of the mock draft here in just a second, but today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. And whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and PrizePicks lets you take control. PrizePicks has a brand new feature called Early Payout, so if your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. You guys can find your community on PrizePicks. With the new social feeds feature, you can share PrizePicks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow PrizePicks partners like us and tail or fade our picks with just one click. So download the PrizePicks app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS. Get hooked up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. So shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, so the Vikings also have a massive need at the cornerback position because Byron Murphy, Isaiah Rodgers, both those guys played, in my opinion, subpar football this past season. Byron Murphy especially didn't, in my opinion, live up to that contract that he signed with the Vikings this offseason. So it's had them selecting Georgia cornerback Dalen Everett. Now, this guy, freak athlete, great in press man. I think he's a guy, again, if they do keep Flores, but even if they don't, I think it'd be a seamless transition to the NFL level. He's a hyper athletic cornerback, so he's great in the run game as well. He does get a little grabby at times, can get penalized a lot, but I think he can refine that game at the next level. So the Vikings, they need to shore up, that secondary. So let's have them go Thieneman in round 2 and Dalen Everett in round 3. Now we're going to stick in round 3 here. This would actually be the comp pick for Sam Darnold. We're going to have the Vikings getting the mustache man. How about linebacker from Texas Tech, Jacob Rodriguez? Now, Jacob Rodriguez is one of the best players in college football this past year. His athletic profile may not translate to the NFL level as easily as you may think, but, this guy flat out dominated college football. Check out his PFF grade, just all over the board, being one of the better players at that level. 93.3 overall grade. That was first in the entire country out of 804 eligible linebackers. He was first in the run defense, and he was also first in coverage. So this guy is a playmaker. He's a dog, and I think he's one of these guys where his athletic profile may get him overlooked during the draft process, but if he's available as a top 100 pick, I would hope the Vikings would select him in the 3rd round. Now, the Vikings don't have a 4th-round pick this year, so we're going to jump to the 5th round. And with the uncertainty with Ryan Kelly and his concussions, I think they got to try to go get a center. And how about Logan Jones? Logan Jones, the Iowa center, had a flat-out amazing season. He was 3rd out of all centers in college football, according to PFF, with an 81.7 PFF grade. Great in the pass block, 90.1. And I do think with, the Vikings potentially staying with J.J. McCarthy, how about we go get in that center of the future where they can build that chemistry, because we have seen J.J. this past season bobble a lot of snaps, not have that continuity with Ryan Kelly. So even though like year 1 with Jones and McCarthy, it may not be a seamless transition, but hopefully they can build that year after year after year. Very intelligent player. This guy's got some tenacity to his game as well. So I like the Vikings going center there in round 5. Now, I'm going to double dip at the cornerback position here in round 6 and pick number 195. We're going to have the Minnesota Vikings going with the Alabama cornerback, Damani Jackson. Now, the Vikings cornerback room, it's not much of a cornerback room. You really only have 2 corners that are guaranteed to be on the team next season. That being Isaiah Rodgers and Byron Murphy. Now, you could also include a guy like Dwight McGlothern potentially, but he's mainly just a practice squad guy. Same with the Utah corner that the Vikings picked up as a UDFA, but you really have 2 guys out there who are slated to be on this team for next season. So you got to add more talent to that room, especially if you get a new defensive coordinator. You're going to add more talent to that cornerback room, because I think Flores, he was masking a lot of the lack of talent at that position this past season. So Damani Jackson, double dip at the cornerback position. I would like that pick in round 6. And I'll also take another flyer here in the 6th round with the Vikings having 3 selections. How about you go get the Penn State defensive lineman, Zane Durant? Hell of a name, I will say, for my man Zane. But the Vikings, I do like their talent at the defensive tackle spot, like Redmond having that breakout year, Levi Drake Rodriguez having a great year as well. And then also you have a guy like Tyron Ingram Dawkins, when he had to work into the lineup, he played some good football as well. But adding in some more depth, adding some more talent, adding another guy that can kind of work behind the scenes, probably won't be a year 1 impact guy, but down the road, maybe ends up being a starter for this football team. Now, here's another one of my favorite picks this year, Kaytron Allen. You guys are going to be sick and tired of me with the amount of times we're going to have the Vikings taking Kaytron Allen in our mock drafts. This guy's an absolute freight train of a human being. I was hoping last year he was going to come out and the Vikings could potentially take him on day 3. But let's take him this year. Kaytron Allen's absolutely fantastic, and he had a great year for Penn State. Over 200 carries, going for over 1,300 yards, had 15 touchdowns on the season, on a Penn State team where they were a disaster this year. But he was one of the lone bright spots, averaging 6.2 yards per carry, a physical, bruising running back. And I do like kind of the thought of having Jordan Mason, Katron Allen, these physical bruising backs that are, yes, they are very similar in the way they play. But hey, you look at the Los Angeles Rams, Blake Corum and Williams, they play similar football, and we've seen that success. So I would love for the Vikings to somehow get him in the 6th round. Now, in round 7, it's all about taking flyers here. We're going to have the Vikings actually going with a quarterback, that being Taylen Green. Now, Taylen Green is incredibly raw. He's a very good athlete, has a lot to improve in terms of just being a pure passer, especially at the NFL level. But this could be a fun, like, preseason quarterback for the Vikings. Now, I do fully expect them to go get a veteran if they do roll out with McCarthy. So if your quarterback room could be like J.J. McCarthy, Joe Flacco, then you have Brosmer and Taylen Green, it would add some good depth and add some, fun preseason play at the quarterback position for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, round 7, I'm not going to BS you guys here on this one. When I was going through the PFF mock draft simulator, I saw a guy named Squirrel White, Florida State wide receiver. I took him because of his name, Squirrel White. I mean, what a fantastic name that is. But he is a good athlete, played some good football at Florida State this past season. I believe he was at A&M before he transferred to Florida State. So just adding more depth to that room because, there's a lot of question marks around Jordan Addison, if he's going to, potentially be traded, if the Vikings are going to extend him. So just adding more depth and more talent to that room, I don't think that's a problem at all in round 7. But here's my total mock draft for the Minnesota Vikings in 2026. I think it's a good haul. It feels so good to be able to do a mock draft this season compared to last year when they only had 4 picks. Now we have bare minimum 10, probably most likely going to have 11 selections. If you guys grade this mock draft for me, A, B, C, D, or F, and we'll get on out of here. As always, Skol Vikes.